Hi, this is the first in a series of videos in which we will look at the discipline of trigonometry. Trigonometry is that branch of mathematics that looks at angles and triangles and the various relationships that develop within this context. And so in this little video, these are the concepts we'll be looking at. So you can pause and read them if you like. So let's first begin with defining what a ray is. A ray is simply a point on a line and all the other points after that point on that line. So obviously you can't draw an entire line because a line goes on for all eternity. So what is customary to do is to simply draw a line segment with an arrowhead, which then indicates that it's all these points going on for all eternity. So this first point here is called the endpoint. An OR ray then is called ray EF. And so this is the typical notation. Now let's define an angle. An angle is simply the union of two rays that share a common endpoint. So we're going to call this endpoint here that both share the vertex. This angle then is angle DEF, and you can write it this way. There is other notation that is permissible. For example, we can simply place this symbol right in here, and so theta is commonly used. This symbol is commonly used to refer to an angle. These are also other commonly used symbols. Now for every angle, we have what is going to be called the initial side and the terminal side. So one of the rays will be considered an initial side and the other ray will be considered the terminal side. And the measure of the angle is the amount of rotation involved in going from the initial side to the terminal side. So one common measure of this rotation is simply to determine what fraction of 360 it is. And so the degree is simply 1 over 360 of a complete rotation. Here we have an illustration of this. This is one complete rotation, and the circumference is divided up into 360 little segments. Each one of those segments subtends an angle of 1 degree at the center. So if we were to blow this up here, we would get something that looks something like this. And this angle here would be 1 degree. Of course, this is a magnification. So this little segment here would be this little one here that you can barely see. So I think this is easy to understand. A degree is just 1 over 360 of a complete rotation. For the most part, we'll be drawing angles in what is referred to as the standard position. So in the case of the standard position, the vertex is going to be at the origin and the initial side is going to be along the positive x-axis. And then we measure our angle counterclockwise from the initial side to the terminal side. This will give us a positive angle. Of course, we can measure the angle this way, but then the angle will be negative. Before we leave this video, let's just look at some classifications. If an angle is less than 90 degrees, in other words, represents less than a quarter of a rotation, it's said to be an acute angle. If the angle represents exactly a quarter of a rotation, it's said to be 90 degrees. If we're referring to an angle that's more than 180 degrees, in other words, more than half a rotation, that angle is said to be a reflex angle. If the angle is between 90 and 180, in other words, between quarter of a rotation and half a rotation, it's said to be an obtuse angle. And of course, if the rotation is exactly half a rotation, half a complete rotation, it's said to be a straight angle. Okay, so that's it for this little video. See you in the next one.